You've chosen a podcast from Low Moon Uprising. Enjoy.
Right.
Well, yes and no. Nuclear weapons are the worry, but it's less whether or not a person is pulling the trigger or whether or not they're pulling the trigger for a correct reason.
Well, no, I think he's referring to bioweaponry. Because that's the problem is you could release one multi-engineered virus like COVID and it affects the whole world by the time you're done. Not you set up a nuke in the middle of Europe and yeah, it's going to suck and 50-mile radius or more is totally destroyed, blah, blah, blah. Comparatively can't grow anything for 100 years, etc.
I haven't looked at the numbers on it, but I'd be seriously surprised if there weren't nukes that would wipe out a third of a country.
Oh yeah, because some countries are not nearly as big as the U.S.
So I think it's more dangerous. I think nukes are still a bigger problem because releasing a biological weapon that is designed to kill people is a terrible plan, especially if it's a virus. It's going to wipe out you too.
And yet we're still doing gain-of-function research on viruses.
But people want to do that. There's a percentage of society that is essentially anarchist or destruction. They want to destroy society.
Which you can do more targeted with a nuclear weapon than you can with a virus.
Targeted, yes.
Oh, did you see the latest variant of COVID, by the way? It's now transmissible between pets.
No.
So your dog could get COVID.
Well, you got to have something to scare people because people are just kind of getting too mellow about it. What was that? Oh, okay. We're going to do this devotional here, and then we're going to start, regardless of whether Aaron is with us or not.
He's on his way. Yeah, he's definitely on his way. He went to Dollar General when I left the house. I'm surprised he's not here yet.
1 Thessalonians 4:13. But we do not want you to be uninformed, brethren, about those who are asleep, so that you will not grieve, as do the rest who have no hope. 4:14. If we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. Here, Paul's writing to the Thessalonians about some who had died. He wanted them to understand and accept this basic truth that when Jesus comes again, those who have died before he comes will certainly be with us in heaven. It seems that some locally had begun to believe that Jesus was going to come back very soon. And when people died before Jesus came back, they were wondering whether or not those people would be going to heaven. Because we live in a postmodern, post-Christian society, remnants of believing that you will go to heaven when you die still exist amongst those who do not know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. People say of the dead, they're in a better place now. That is definitely true if they were saved. That certainly brings us to a place where we mourn because we no longer see them in this lifetime and can have no further positive effect on them, can no longer express our love directly to them, and can no longer receive the direct expression of their love. However, if we could experience the place where they are now, assuming they were saved, we would never want to call them back to this life. Even some things that we accept daily as a reality are torture compared to heavenly bliss. So we mourn because we lost something, but because we are reminded that heaven is the final destination of all believers and that it lasts for an eternity, that it's really stinking awesome, we do not mourn as those who have no hope. To have something stripped away from you that you care deeply about, to think that it is gone really off into an abyss of nothingness or into some ancient Greek Hades version of afterlife is truly terrible. I remember believing in heaven even when I didn't believe in God. Thank God that he desires no one to spend eternity apart from himself. He makes a free offer of salvation to anyone who will accept it through Jesus Christ. Jesus sacrificed himself upon the cross to pay for sins, the doorway to an eternity which we will be more than satisfied to open. Which will be more than satisfied with is open. There we go. If a person chooses to be deeply distraught because their loved one has made the transition to an eternity with God, then it will usually be out of a lack of understanding of the nature of that transition. We came to depend on human beings even as they are living out their version of carrying the image of God. Codependent relationships develop especially amongst people who do not know Christ, and it can be that when someone slips away from life, but the mourning is so heavy as to be unbearable. But it needn't be so for believers because we have not lost them, but rather sent them on ahead. We can honor their memory, certainly often experience periods of sentimentality, probably rotate through all the various aspects of grief, but we are truly blessed to have a hope that goes beyond our present situation. Crippling grief is just not meant to be a present-day reality for believers. What happens if the person who's passed away did not profess to know Christ? Oh, what if they would have argued that they were not a believer? I couldn't understand my own writing.
I'm sure that's supposed to be rhetorical.
Well, if indeed they were not a believer, they will spend eternity away from God, and that is sad. But we don't get to decide that. We are not authorized and mourn as if that is true because we cannot judge their salvation. It happens that a person is saved and then begins to feel unsaved and may even say things that sound like they are definitely unsaved, but actually they're saved and went to an eternity in heaven with God. While at the same time it happens that Bible-toting professing believers actually are not believing in the living God and his son Jesus Christ for salvation, and they will not spend eternity in heaven with God. Jesus even said, Not everyone who says unto me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. This is where we may not judge. Salvation is judged only by the Lord. So we mourn, but not as those who have no hope. Even if we were allowed to determine that someone who has passed on before us was lost and therefore is in hell, which again we are not allowed to do, our mourning would be different. This is because we know we will go to heaven, after which time we will no longer experience the sorrow that this life sometimes holds. All of our pains are temporary. When we get there, we will leave all this behind, which includes the sting of death and a sting of loss. The losses in this lifetime are primarily expressions of knowing that this is not our home. Things that do not work here the way they work there, because sin and death have entered in. In conclusion, we mourn not as those who have no hope. Way more. I'm going to start sending these to Josh. And hope remains even when we think we know something about a fallen comrade or a fallen enemy. Our hope is in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior in eternity with God. Some have gone on before and will be awaiting us when we arrive. Can you think of other ways that the reality of heaven changes how we react to hardships we face in this lifetime? The truth is probably the reality of heaven impacts how we react to all hardships we face. Sometimes we just forget to take it into account. Thinking of traditional acts of mourning, can you list a few and think of how Christians might handle these same activities differently as we mourn as people who have a hope?
I mean, a really common one is when someone dies, they die, reassurance, they're best believer, you get reassurance, or even just like you're going through a lot of hardship or a hard time, especially like through like persecution, but there's the light at the end of the tunnel kind of situation.
I think about funerals. Like a lot of times people have funerals, and the kind of thing they do at their funeral has a lot to do with what they are, how they're related to God or their believership. Like in New Orleans now, it's weird because they have a lot of cultural funerals, and they will literally play music all the way across town to the graveyard. And it used to be because they were celebrating the homegoing of that believer, and now they just do it out of culture. So some people will be there, they're playing music all the way across town and excited that their believer has gone on. And actually, maybe they're in hell, but they're excited about it anyway, So I just think when we lose somebody or lose a circumstance or whatever, we realize that God is the one who's really in charge, and He's the one who give us peace and comfort. And I really think we're going to get to heaven, and there's going to be some people there who go like, what? No way! I can't believe you're here! Because they accepted Christ before they did a lot of stupid things or after they did a lot of stupid things. And all the people remember is a stupid thing. And then we're going to get to heaven, and we're going to go, what? He's not here? How can that possibly be? He supposedly won thousands to Christ or whatever, and you got thousands of people that He won to Christ, and they're there, and He's not. Can you imagine? I'm not saying we will, but can you imagine if we got to heaven and Billy Graham wasn't there? Tens of thousands of people who went to Christ, or maybe hundreds of thousands. And if we got there and he was there,
make it, but Billy Graham.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. How did he make it? But what's her name? Mother Teresa didn't, or what? You just can't do that. I mean, we have to look at what we're doing and do the right thing based on where we're going. We can't look at what other people are doing and judge where they're going. That's what it comes down to.
So it's not exactly mourning, but the whole conversation reminds me of almost like a ritual that I have, where whenever I see someone driving like an idiot, especially on the highway, I generally am pretty good at not getting mad at people. I'll just start like praying for them. Like, Lord, I really hope that person either doesn't crash and die today or is saved and will be with you even despite this very stupid decision.
Pray that they drive immediately home so no one else gets hurt.
Yeah, right. Which is almost certainly like, that's got to be mind-boggling as like from the perspective of someone who doesn't believe. Like
I would guarantee you that right after somebody cuts you off, they're not thinking, "Oh, he's probably praying for me." So I'm pretty much sure that's not what they're thinking. So we went to London. This is a related traffic story more than the praying thing, but went to London, and I must have screwed up in traffic 100 times in the 9 days that I drove while I was in London. And I was
on a trip to check.
driving a left-handed stick shift, right?
So weird.
And so the left hand, and all the rail cars were stick shifts, and it's in your left hand. The stick is in your left hand, and the clutch was in still under your left foot.
That'd be so
It was so weird.
It is very
And
bizarre.
I kept trying to grab the door handle to shift, and I must have screwed up 100 times. And all that time, all the times I screwed up, I had one person get mad at me. And I could see she was an older lady. She was like in her 60s, and she was like mouthing mean words toward me. I don't think there were any cuss words, like she didn't say F you or anything, but she was clearly, we were in a roundabout, and I was shifting in the middle of the roundabout, and so I didn't yield when I was supposed to yield, and I was busy trying to figure out how to shift the car at that particular moment. And that was the only person that got upset at me the whole time, and I must have screwed up 100 times. And I come home in America, and I was home for less than a week, and I did some very trivial thing that irritated the person that was near me in traffic, and the guy like rolled down his window, flipped me the bird, and used the F word and everything else. And I think it's so different, you know. Not that I'm saying that by any means is it a more godly country, because it's not.
God bless you.
I think that's as much, I don't think it's the country as much as it is like the locale. Like when you're in London, and everybody is, you're seeing 1,000 more cars on your drive to work than you do in Toledo.
That's true.
Whereas when you're in Toledo, you know, there's more space between the cars, you see less people, and so whenever one person messes up, it's like a big deal all the time. So I think people who like, even if you went to like New York even, you might have less people getting mad at you.
I don't know. They say New Yorkers are like,
yeah, New York is kind of a nasty place.
No,
Maybe
it's
that'd
like
be an
that
example.
too.
Maybe California. I'm pretty sure it's against the law to cuss in California.
You have to have a permit.
London
And the
is
permit, yeah.
London
Depends
is
what
the New
one
York
state.
City of Great Britain, and like a lot of people outside of London that are in the Great Britain talk about London like
Yeah,
it
they're
was
like
New York
they're
City,
really- yeah.
like, oh, people there are such jerks, you know,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
rude, blah, blah, blah.
That makes
But yeah,
sense.
you only have 1 out of 100,
Yeah.
you don't get mad, so.
I will say that
The rest
some-
of Great Britain's gotta be pretty.
It's probably worse
pretty
when you're
relaxed.
walking.
yeah, some things that I saw traffic-wise there were just like you would think that doesn't make any sense. It just totally does not make any sense. Like they had 4-lane roads merging into 4-lane roads, and you bumper-to-bumper traffic, and the light turns green, and every car moves 2 cars forward, and 12 cars come onto the road. 8, 12. I mean, it just kept getting more and more jammed. Like you're looking at it, or we were sitting in a restaurant looking at it from above, and they just kept jamming more cars in there. It's like, how is that helping? That's not helping anybody. Everybody's just getting so jammed together.
It's like driving in Augusta.
It was unreal. And of course everybody was on the left side of the road all the time, and it was unreal.
I'm sure those super old cities like that are a lot like that in general.
And it's super cultural. Like, so they hadn't actually completed Brexit yet when we were there, and the population was like over 15% people that didn't speak English. Like everywhere you went, every waiter or waitress and stuff, they're always speaking Arabic and French and Turkey, whatever they speak in Turkey. I don't know. It's like Turkish. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, all these different languages. Like the first time we ate there, we ate at an Italian pizza restaurant that did not have one employee that was Italian. How do you say it? Italian or English. Everybody in the restaurant was Arabic. I'm like, this is not quite what I
I
thought
think
it was
that was
gonna
the
be like.
Chick-fil-A we went to last time.
So I was like, that was really interesting.
I think
So I
that was
talked to the
Chick-fil-A
lady,
we
like,
went to last
I thought we were like, I told Sherry, I said,
Do you like some
well, we could order if we could speak Italian, because the lady didn't hardly speak English. And then I heard her talking to another table, and it was clearly Arabic. I'm going like, never mind. Like, Italian wouldn't help at all. It's like, she doesn't speak Italian either.
The Chick-fil-A we went to in the bottom of the student union
Pictures all
last
for
night.
exchange students.
It was every single one of them was from India, except for the cashier that took our order. She was from like China. So I was like,
It's a melting pot.
I was like, hello,
Is that a UT?
Yeah.
Yeah, UT has a huge transfer program from like all
All over the world. That's why West Blood's ministry is so impactful. All right, so we've now done our devotional. We did talk about retreat stuff. So before we go home tonight, Aaron and Arden, help me remember to talk briefly with you about the retreat stuff. We've done that. We're going to start whence last we broke. A very tense moment. Dun dun dun. Which immediately availed itself to not be a combat. As the party, all of you, exited the huge column in the middle of the Medusa temple. And so weren't sure at that point in time exactly what was going to happen, how they were going to respond. And I know that no one was immediately casting a fireball. That's pretty much.
a YouTube video. I'd be hitting the head forward because I know what's coming.
Okay. So you should probably write it down right now.
What?
Or text it or something if you think you know what's going to happen.
No, I know what happened when we entered that room.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to hear it again.
well, I don't think so. I would
Here
like
it
to know.
happens because I'm just next to you.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So, in a long, short version, the party escaped from the dungeon level of the graveyard, of the ancient giant graveyard underneath Ogrim's Mountain, by going through a temple-like structure that was there. It had a huge column in the middle of it, and they found essentially a slide in the middle of it. They then took that slide down, and it dropped them out into the Medusa temple where you guys were previously at, on the Liberty level, and you knew that they had been involved in an ongoing, long ritual involving what appeared to possibly involve human sacrifice, although that was never confirmed, because if it had been, it would have been a the other way, but there may have been ritual sacrifice involved. Okay, and you did say basically we had just enough time at the end of last session for everybody to say, "I'm careful not to look in the eyes of any medusa." That's basically where you were at. You're surrounded by all these naked
To
women.
go back further than that? Oh, gosh, is that class?
Too busy
Yeah,
trying
he's
to stick
caught
the
up.
landing.
Okay.
He didn't forget. He's a good DM.
He's caught up now. Okay.
Dion's phone.
Teacher!
Okay.
That's what you sound like.
I'm sure you didn't forget. Did you forget it?
Didn't forget what?
Yes, Dion was petrified.
Dion was petrified.
See, you didn't even notice
Told
when I
you, he forgot.
Okay.
It's not gonna matter anyways, because they can turn me back, and even if I fail my roll, I have feign death up. But
Assuming that saves you from
It takes
petrified.
up your faint death if nothing else.
it would take up my feign death.
Does it save you from petrified?
No,
No.
they can turn me back.
Oh, it's system shock.
If I fail my system shock, I'll come back to life.
Okay. So, you are on a center platform in the room. There is a 40-foot diameter column behind you with an opening that leads back up the slide. Okay. There are runic writings all over the surface of that column. The column is trimmed in gold, but is made of an unusual orange and pink striated rock that when you look at it, which you probably have done because you were looking away from the medusa faces, you notice that it appears as if the striations in the rock are moving. The platform that you are on then extends about 10 feet in every direction from the column, so it would be about 50 foot across in both directions. And then all surrounding you are, speaking from an anatomical perception, beautiful women in the nude, often covered with blood, and all having serpents for hair. Okay? There are no men, no male medusae, to be very clear. There are no male medusae in the room.
No Medusos.
Okay? Yeah, no
Medusa
medusans.
Medusa bros.
Medusa bros, okay.
Medusa?
Immediately after you arrive, Antianus turns to stone. Immediately after that happens,
He stuck the landing though. He looks really cool.
he did. You went,
I don't think you have time to scream.
He did not scream. There was no screaming.
No, just went. That's the noise of a person turning to stone. I don't think there's a sound effect for that, but if there is, I really want to see it. Nope, never mind.
That would be good.
Oh, assets battle.
Experience.
He's like, I'm so stoned.
Let's try this.
What?
I doubt it.
Defeat experience.
Maybe there's
That's
like
a
a
Medusa just leveled up.
Not worth it.
maybe there's like a stone grinding sound effect.
And the one that petrified me gets
There you
defeat
go.
To
experience.
the end right there. That end sound was
Just the
this.
end part.
Yeah, just the end part.
They're a party. They all show up.
Okay. Anyway,
Party? Or are they all just here?
I mean, it looks like a party.
what I had was that everyone other than trying to be careful not to get turned to stone had basically not reacted. Last chance to change that action.
Covered in blood.
Going once.
So sticking to it.
Going twice. Okay. Immediately, the medusae begin to prostrate themselves before you
I feel like you covered this last
and
time.
worship the party.
They all start like
Gold guy.
What?
Gold
Chanting.
guy.
Chanting and praising. Does anyone, I think we covered this before, but I'll clarify. Does anyone speak old Geoffrian, ancient Geoffrian?
I speak Geoffrian and I am Geoffrian.
David speaks Champion.
Okay, so it's ancient Geoffrian, so both of you can roll a d20.
Oh no.
Oh, get the roll my creepy eye die. 11.
I'm an idiot. Hey, is that comprehensive?
The problem is when I roll these, I stare at the eye before I actually look at the number. Something else, I wait.
19. Attorney, I'm sorry.
11 made by intelligence by 4. That's great.
It's wisdom.
Oh, made that even by one even more.
Okay, so Dearmood gets the gist of what they are saying. Everyone kind of understands the basic of what they're saying, which is that they're praising you and either thanking, their gods for you or thanking you for being you, something like that. It's obviously praise and thanks.
What if that ritual we saw was trying to bring back the natural hearing?
Oh no, please don't.
If you don't want to miss any of the story, Low Moon Origins, Uprising, or Outsiders, like and follow our podcast. Please share it with friends.
I'm just being
Okay.
silly.
And so the name that Dear Mood, here, I'll just text it.
I
Here's that you're able to actually
mean,
translate.
I'd share it.
Are you just going to say it right away?
Unless I'm not supposed to say it.
I mean, you could speak softly, and you doubt they're going to hear anything because they're like in the throes of chanting and praising and whatever. So you could say to the party softly. Theon will probably not hear it.
Yeah.
But everyone else will be.
Can I roll your noise?
You can roll a percentile dice right now.
Minus
3% chance. 03 or less.
This is for drinking.
42.
There's always a chance for divine intervention. All right. Anyway,
This is a thing. This is a thing that Hermes would particularly hate. Does that give me a 40% boost?
No.
You get your powers from the interns and janitors.
I do not.
I used to, but now I'm
Name
definitely
level.
at least up to the head.
Yeah, the
janitor.
interns and the
Head
janitors
janitor.
give me that time stop I can do on me.
Yeah.
The lady that cleans the toilets gives you your third level spells.
She's salary. She's not paid by the hour, so she's gotta watch her kids.
It's quota based.
Okay. Anyway, you hear that they are chanting gratitude toward the gods who have been sent to save them from the decayer.
Oh, jeez.
I'll just.
And apparently, it sounds like they're saying they're grateful that their ritual was a success.
The decay. Isn't that the creepy demigod death guy?
Well, that is the name of the individual that you pronounced over top of the altar. That you thought that woke up the creepy dark demigod dude. Yes,
Also, it was actually that. Most likely.
seems to be pointing in that direction.
Oh, good. I really like being absolved of guilt.
But why would they wake it up and then say, hey, save us from it?
Because it was stuck down there. They wanted to get rid of it, couldn't do it. Now there's these powerful people here. Hey, let's wake up the bad guy and make them kill it now.
That's a pretty contrived plot.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
They wouldn't.
Makes perfect sense to the
So they're
right.
saying
just
the
did.
demigod of death is the decayer.
Yeah.
They're happy that we're here to deal with it.
Okay.
I mean,
Do we need to go back?
So they are
Leon's not saying
pressing dangerously close. It's becoming particularly hard not to look one of them in the face, as they are like fawning at you,
distance.
touching your breasts and grabbing your legs,
not
and
my breasts.
not Theon.
Hands go. Oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, hey.
Also,
Okay. At that point in time, Stro appears from the party's right. She kind of surges forward out of the crowd. She is not naked. She's wearing
Okay, that's Stro over there.
leather and brass breast coverings and leather breeches that cover her whole legs. But she is barefoot. But anyway, she appears and she says, grab Theon, come this way. Come with me,
I grab feet.
quickly.
Yeah.
He's kind of heavy.
Theon, you gained some weight.
Dear Mood, help
Can
him.
one person carry him?
A strong
Very
person.
small.
He's a
Pick
small,
up Theon
he's
and over
a
my shoulder
diminutive
and go.
statue.
Yes.
It's
Jake
like a
can
garden gnome that big.
I also
It's
think
a garden
gnome.
Stone garden gnome.
Oh, we get to buy outfits for him.
It's a stone, well-equipped acrobatic garden gnome.
Is it acrobatic?
Yeah. I double checked
Of the
my shield.
a large sized. Yes, he looks like he just landed from
He's
an
not
amazing.
acrobatic right now.
Yeah, but he looks like he just landed from an amazing stunt.
Double check
Are
I
you
have
the
my
superhero,
shield.
like-
Double check I have my sword.
don't think so.
Let's
If
go.
so, we're
Okay.
leaving you like that.
All right.
That's awesome.
So anyone not following Stro out? Anyone interacting with any of the Medusas who want to get very close?
Nope.
Okay.
Following Stro.
I'm a man of vast wisdom.
I'm watching the feet of the people in front of me.
Okay. So I'm gonna give a random chance here.
My
1, 2,
wisdom's
3,
like twice
I
yours.
guess I pull my name die out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have any NPCs, right? Nope. No NPCs. Okay.
No, no.
Grabbing Jake's cloak and closing my
They're not
eyes
dead.
and just following him.
Only mostly dead.
Come on,
Only
Jake.
most of them are dead. And the rest of them are lost or MIA.
Well, you have Stro. So okay.
Yeah, because our Gorgar guy died.
Okay. So as they are like reaching for you, anytime you feel that they like they touch your skin, they pull on your armor, pull it a little out of position, grab your thigh, try to turn your leg back out towards them. There's obvious attempts to pull you back as you're pulling away, and one of the medusa scratches your hand on the back of your left hand with two of her nails, enough to draw blood. You take 1 point of damage.
Get trapped HIV.
This one's extra grabby. Help.
They have your DNA now. Anything is possible.
Now they're gonna clone me.
You know what?
Okay.
My hands are kind of full.
Ron, roll d20 real quick.
I mean,
11. Very average.
Okay. As you are, basically you guys come off that platform and you're going diagonally out the back of the room. There's an open set of doors there, and you see there are two men. They may be male medusas, whatever, they have hoods. They're standing just outside the door, and they have spears that are bronze, half to tip. The whole spear is completely bronze, and they're standing just outside the door. And she's rushing that way and looking occasionally over her shoulder to get you guys to follow her. And as you are leaving the room, you look to the right, and you can see that there are four what would definitely appear to be human in anatomy anyway, dead bodies that have been basically disemboweled on a sacrificial rite altar that's there, and it's pretty painfully obvious that an evil ceremony has been
Now we
conducted.
have to kill them all.
Okay.
Following Stro.
who wiped him out?
And then you're whisked out the door with Stro.
Jake, the city's on fire.
Yeah, take sacrificial things going on.
Okay, carry Theon.
So in this room, there are probably 500 medusae,
Yeah, that's
all females.
God,
Okay.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of statue making.
Yeah.
All right. The room is literally filled. It's a 200 foot by 300 foot room, and it is literally filled. Even as that back section was kind of thin, but even as you're back there, you're passing amongst them, and you see from a side door 2 more women come in, and they're like pulling their cloaks off, and they don't have any clothes on underneath their cloaks, pulling their cloaks off and throwing them on a rack there's like a huge pile of cloaks and gowns and stuff that are there. And they throw them, and they're joining in the throngs, and so you realize that the mob is continuing to grow.
I'll ask Stro what's going on.
Okay. All right. So as soon as you get through the doors, she goes through the door. She goes about halfway down the hallway. The hallway is red and bronze, and you see a set of double doors at the end, or a hallway that turns off to the right. And she goes about 20 feet in, and there's another 20 feet to the doors. And she stops about halfway down, waits for you guys to get in. And then once you're in, she motions like that, and the guys close the doors behind you.
Do male Medusa turn people to stone too?
No, they don't have the snake hair. Okay, but they look long and thin, and they are immune to female Medusas turning them to stone. So, okay.
They've
Herd immunity, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so once you're all in, Xavier's up close, and you say, "What's going on?" And she says, "I'll explain it to you in a minute." And you go through to the double doors, and she opens the doors in front of you, and then you see there's like a bed chamber, and it has 4 big piles. It's like a 40 by 50 rooms. It's big. 4 big piles of pillows, each pillow being like 4 foot across and fluffy. And so it's just like a harem lounge or something like that, but it's empty. The room is completely empty. There are silk veils hanging down, and the back wall has a 20-foot wide red curtain on it, like the barrier curtain, so there's probably an exit there, you think. But there are no other doors or exits to the room, and it's just like a big harem room, but nobody's in it. Okay, you can even see some dishes in places, maybe like a book, candelabra. It's just like it's an occupied room, but there's no one here now. Is the point? So you step in. She's waiting to shut the doors behind you. Everyone goes in.
Yep.
Okay. You set Theon down.
I'll hold on to him for the moment.
Okay. All right. So she then closes the doors behind you. So now you're alone in a room with just Stro. Okay. She does not have her hood up, so you're still averting your eyes. Okay. In fact, I'm going to give a 10% chance that we need one or more saving throws? No. Alright, so everyone's managing at this point. You've become moderately skilled in averting your eyes at this point. Alright?
Stro, what's going on?
She says, so there has been a ritual ongoing for, and the sounds outside are becoming somewhat muffled now. She says, there's been a ritual ongoing for, nearest I can figure, what we would call months up top. And the clan now believes that you have been summoned to protect them from the god of death. So they are worshiping you in preparation for your battle with his when he arrives.
Okay, because I wasn't here out of play. There's already a confrontation, right?
Briefly.
Yeah.
And
I
how
mean, it
did we
didn't feel
fare?
super brief, but
Not well.
it was actually fairly brief.
I mean,
Nobody died.
Nobody died yet.
I died.
Oh yeah, you died on the way out.
you had faint death, but he's shooting rays that I'm pretty sure if we fail to resist it, it'll take your life.
It was save versus death match.
In missile fire, every round.
We
And he was
already
shooting-
encountered this thing once.
I have no interest in
This is back again.
costing.
He was shooting like 3 rays around too. Missile fire, if I remember right. 2 or 3.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Okay. She reaches out to gently take Brunson. With her left hand, she's reaching out to take your right hand. If you'll let her, you pull away. Right. She
Can you put
leads
your
you.
hand up, please?
She leads you toward the back of the chamber. Is anyone following? Interested to see what's about to happen?
I'll follow, but I'll stay a little bit behind.
Okay.
Jimmy goes, let me have the privacy.
Just kind of holding on to the, I'm like, okay,
Court stenographer.
trying to figure out how do we take on this death fella.
Yeah.
Right.
Out of play, I don't know if you got filled in on this, Josh, but before we left, Jake said basically like, I'll come back to kill you to the god of death.
Oh, I said I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back to
Oh, sweet. Making vows when you're not even.
Sorry.
You were very adamant that you were.
I was role playing.
Demigod Death talks some smack, you talk some smack back.
Am I,
What bros do.
How serious about that? Or how much
You were very adamant about coming back.
See, keep
looks like I'm
talking.
down about half. Am I still around there?
It's not gonna matter. He just kills you. You're either dead or you're not with him.
I don't know where I'm at point-wise. I missed last session.
I don't think you took out
I figured no damage. Really, the only combat encounter they had last session was that encounter with that guy, right?
And the mummy.
Yeah.
We fought a mummy.
I
Oh,
always
yeah, the
We
mummy.
trashed it.
Yeah, they destroyed the mummy.
Trash mummy?
But it did hit somebody, but it wasn't
it
Brunson.
didn't
Wouldn't have been
hit
Brunson.
anybody.
I didn't even get with an arm free
I
twice.
shot his legs off before he got.
That's right. Yeah, in the tunnel.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah,
You made it
trashed him.
raw.
Yeah, they called shot both of his knees or something.
Busted knee.
Yeah.
He took it. He used to be a mummy like him, but then he took 2 arrows
Yeah,
in
I'm
the knees.
proud.
I used to be a mummy, and then I took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, I'm just firing up the
Now we're
Pentium
bothered.
Jake to
Yeah.
process how to fight this guy.
Yeah. So anyway, she leads Brunson by the hand, and her skin is soft, and her smell is pleasant, to the back of the room where the red wall is. And she pushes it aside. Meanwhile, those of you who are alert to your surroundings, because this is a pretty tense situation, realize that the 2 Medusa men that you saw outside the hallway have entered this room and closed the doors behind them. So they
So-
seem to be providing interference from the cult women coming in here.
Point of clarification. They came in with us and shut the doors, or they shut the doors behind us, then later opened them, came back in and shut the doors?
Stro shut the doors, and then now they have come down the hallway into this room with you and shut the doors behind them.
It's
In
crazy
fact-
out there, man.
Does anybody look back to see what they're doing?
No.
Okay, don't really care.
Well,
Everyone's there. This is all in
Once
that
I
big
hear the
room.
door close, I'll probably look towards them, but not at the base.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
So you see
Brunson-
they've barred the door.
while Brunson is with Stro, I'll say, kind of talking out loud to the group, we need to get out of this place. I don't know about, I don't know about you, or I guess it's all catching out, but I'm pretty exhausted as far as spells go, pretty low on arrows. And there's
But this time
plenty
you've
of
arrived.
combat.
Everyone has arrived at the curtain, although you guys said you were hanging back a little bit, right?
I was gonna follow, but I was gonna hang back just a little bit.
She is taking Brunson through the curtain.
And last I knew, there was confrontation with the cult that I wasn't part of going on.
I'll walk through the curtain and just keep an ear out. Like, make sure that I don't hear a door open or anything
This
like
quest
that.
will attempt to hamper the full advance, as we were here initially.
Yes, saving Ogrim will hurt the cult bad,
I agree, but
because his mountain is
But
currently under siege
we
and will
allegedly
never
saw that,
hold
but-
if he's in charge.
At what cost at this rate? If it was even us that did this.
Well,
directly that's done.
We need to take that
There's
guy
not-
out. This is a bigger damsels.
I will say this.
This is a bigger damsels thing.
So
I think
Quote
what,
book.
I think what my brother is trying to say
it's not a woman.
is
though.
that this demigod unleashed onto the world is arguably more dangerous than the cult in some sense. And he had mentioned that
that thing took
Xavier
out.
would make a good servant.
That thing
to
took
Okay,
sync
at
up
this
that
point in
stuff.
time, you guys can be talking if you want. If you're not following him through the curtain, he's been through the curtain for almost a minute.
Do I hear anything? Or
No, there's really no sound coming from beyond the curtain.
I'm no fan of gods, especially those of death, but I also don't think I have any reason
Well,
killing a demigod of
not
death.
to mention, you guys all saw what that thing did to what's her name? The girl that came in there with the stout.
He's talking about Ethamel.
Yes, that person.
It turned her.
Really?
Yes.
Like turned her
She fled.
beyond.
She fled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Back
much
to your
like
holy
Theon does
realm?
with zombies, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
He
yeah.
could have turned me, he just didn't try.
Yeah,
Well, you got
that was later.
this later.
He probably, if he had turned Theon, probably would have just died.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Theon's on the destroy part of the chart.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Anyway, so
clerical.
are you
Theon,
lingering around
clerical.
outside the curtain, or is anyone else going in? That's what I need to know. He's about almost 2 minutes ahead of you if you don't go in.
Hey, you guys, leave me alone with a medusa.
I'll peek around.
Dude, this would be a funny prank.
Okay. All right. So
can take her.
what you see in the room, first of all, it's basically a big box.
Well,
It's
first
right-
thing I see is my feet,
Right.
until I know it's clear.
Right. So she pulls you in, and then she kind of like moves you forward about 10 feet or so, and then you feel her move around behind you, like she's gently pulling her arms back so you can tell that she's moving behind you, and then she says, "You may look." Okay. So what you see, the walls of this room, the room is 20 by 30, and it is covered floor to ceiling with a 40-foot high ceiling in etched bronze. So all the way from floor to ceiling. And the language is similar to, it's an arcane tongue, but it's similar to magic. And so you right away can pick out points of it. And then you can see a large, like, by large I mean like a 4-foot by 6-foot section that's in the back. So the room is 30 foot deep, 20 foot wide, okay? And in the back left section, so in the last 20 to 30 feet, there is up off the floor, showing about 5 feet off, there's a 4-foot by 6-foot etching, like a picture of people. You're not standing there, so you don't know what it's of, really, but it's carved in, it's not words, it's a picture. And then the rest of it, pretty much the whole thing is carved in words. And your immediate thought process is it's like an archaic history or something. It's that kind of a historical chamber, like they were keeping etchings of history or legends or something like that. But you pick out, like, on one wall, like it's like the 13th line up, about 8 feet in, you pick out a rune that you recognize from the spell Fireball. And then, so you said you're peeking?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see he's just like standing there in awe, and he's looking at all this runic writing and diagrams on the walls of this room, all carved in semi-precious, really, metal. Not precious metal, but semi-precious metal. And it runs floor to ceiling, it's 40-foot high ceiling. The room is 20 foot wide, almost the same width as the red curtain, and 30 feet deep. Okay? And then she says, "Here," and then there's like, you get this sense, like her heart skips a beat, and like a feeling comes over you, like little kid on Christmas kind of feeling, and she grabs your hand again and she drags you toward the back of the room. So now she's in front of you again, but you're looking at her from behind. So as long as she doesn't turn around and look at you, it should be fine. And then
I'll
she,
stare at her.
it's a reasonably pleasant view. You do notice that the pants that she has are tight clinging, and she's not wearing underwear, or at least there are no marks of any undergarments. She's wearing leather pants from the waist down, as I mentioned before.
Check out Amal Dan Inc. for incredible opportunities to support the ministry.
As she gets there, she sort of slings you forward, not harshly, but just kind of like swings you around her, and she's falling behind you, so now you're able to look again, and she shows you writing on the wall, and then some of the writing on the wall, the whole room is just sort of glowing yellowish from the writing. There's no obvious sign of where the light's coming from, and there's a spot on the wall where you see pinkish red light up the runes across one row. It goes and it crackles across, so you can see them very clearly. And roll percentile dice.
Would I see that?
You'd see what they did, and you'd see a light.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't know any of what's going on.
64.
Okay. So the runes that are lighting up make up a really archaic structure of drawing significant magical power from 4 different elemental planes. And you've only ever seen the word essentially, or the phrase, which really boils down to one word essentially before, and it is the word ascension.
Wait a minute. I'll say to her, is this entire room basically like a scroll of ascension?
I only know the legends. What I've been able to discern these last couple of days. Great heroes, or a great hero comes, who will fight the god of death here in the temple and save the medusa.
I'm picking out archaic ruins all over this place.
It is.
It's like there's spells woven into this.
I believe you are correct. She grabs your hand again to drag you across to the back of the room where the picture is. Okay. And everyone's still waiting outside. You've heard basically what's being said.
I'll walk in.
Okay. Xavier slips past the curtain. So you're about 25 feet away from them then, because they're at the far back of the room.
I'm still trying to keep a little bit of distance, but I'll walk
25 feet or less?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
All right. You stare on with a stony gaze. Or rather, stare at the floor behind Jake with a stony gaze.
Am I technically conscious?
No.
I'm still firing up the Pentium Jake, and I'm debating whether to first then be like, okay, I need my idea guy. Come on.
Freezer's not here.
Okay.
My backup idea guy.
I'm offended.
All right.
I'm offended.
So, Dear
You
Mood,
think I'm the third idea guy?
You're like the fourth for him. You're he's always run away.
so the 3 of you and Stone Theon are all still outside. And there's just the 2 guys guarding the door. That's it. And there's no other exits or entrances to the room.
Well, Jason, Xavier's. I can go check on him. Come on.
Xavier went inside.
Oh, Xavier's checking on him. Obviously, we need 2 people to check on him.
If you're going in there, remind them that Theon needs to be fixed.
You would wait a couple minutes and then he'll get impatient and go check on him.
Okay.
As they're talking, I'll not trying to eavesdrop or anything, but do you think this room would stop the demigod? Yeah.
Ah! Oh, jeez.
Sorry, Brunson.
All of Stroh's snakes go.
Sneak up on me like that. Put some armor on.
That defeats my purpose.
Okay, so I did take it you were gazing at the image then? Okay, so as you watch the image, it actually comes to life, and you see the column in the center of the temple. It's pretty clearly depicted that it is the temple scene. From the right-hand side of the picture, around the column comes something that looks like basically it's a carved out curtain, but mobile on its own, which is a pretty good 2-dimensional picture of the demigod of death that you fought, which was basically like a big shadow comes to a point at the top. And it comes around the column, and then from the right side of the picture comes a hero to face him, and the 2 of them clash in the middle, and the hero enlarges to be about the same size as the curtain thing that he's fighting, and they begin to wrestle, and then you see the hero raise his hand, and there's like, mind you, this is in cartoony pictures, but you see like sparks embossed in the bronze, and then he slings his hand forward, and the sparks impact the curtain, and it bursts in like dozens of pieces and scatters all throughout the image until they're just gone, like combined with the edge of the frame. And then the hero looks outward, and you see it's you.
Oh, come on.
Or at least perhaps your ancestor. Someone who looks like you.
Hey,
That guy.
Brunson, that looks a lot like you.
You think?
Okay, hold on a second. You were watching?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't see Brunson, you see you.
Oh, hey, that looks like me.
It doesn't.
Demon's coming a couple minutes after.
Yeah.
Clearly looks like
After
You
our
hear them
conversation.
arguing about it just as you're stepping in.
Hey, what's going on?
That
Whoa.
looks like me.
Okay, Stroh slips out of the room at this point while you guys are
Okay.
still looking.
Demon's gonna do to look over all this.
I don't think
Lord,
anybody
You see
on this
incredible,
planet
I
could
mean,
confuse the 2 of us.
embossing of
I
bronze.
know
You
that.
pick out
If it looked like you, I
words
would
from
say it
your
looked like
language
you, but
skill
it's
right
not.
away.
It looks like me.
Can I like?
Minor detail, does it look like Xavier was throwing bolts at the guy, or does it look like...
So Xavier didn't see that part, he only saw the very end of it.
Demon's gonna do like a one. Can I like legend lord this?
Okay, we're gonna need-
Something
Yes,
to
you
get
certainly
more-
could.
Do you?
And
In
a
any
large
case,
spell and
as
shocking
you're-
grasp.
as you're moving forward, you do see some writing on the right-hand side glow for a second, and you see that they're looking a picture on the back. Okay, you're gonna just do legend lore on. I mean, you haven't studied it enough to do a lot, but you could just do cool bronze room at the back of a Medusa temple and see if anything.
Yeah, I 87.
You
And then I have fine artists too.
We're seeing
A little bit I can
something
describe
different.
them.
It's totally possible, yes.
Well, that's gotta be what it is.
You think?
No, there's nothing about this room. The only thing that, that there are legends and stories about that come up is, ancient medusa societies that supposedly exist,
Do I have to go back and fight that thing?
secret away from man,
It
faraway
means,
places like that,
according
and
to
how
some artisan,
one or more of them might elevate
a long time ago, they said that
visitors
somebody
to
would
godhood
fight this black
if the
blanket
opportunity,
thing,
if the circumstances were right.
eventually,
Okay. Stro exits the room and comes to you. She says, "Put him down." Okay.
I'm gonna-
She begins to cast a spell.
I'm gonna do like a pretty deep dive of this whole room, especially the glowing stuff. But
Okay, so it would take, to just read it, it would take probably hours, maybe 4 hours, you would guess.
Sonorous go to help speed it up, maybe if you the language you know.
I mean, he could summarize for you,
Sonorous, go into scan mode.
Yeah.
but he couldn't make you actually get the details any faster.
Yeah.
It's a 40-foot high ceiling, 20 foot by 30 foot, and the wall. Now the runes are not super close together, so the average rune is like 6 inches by 8 inches, but still, 6 inches by 8 inches, 30 feet long.
I'll focus on the glowing part then.
Did Dearmoon see the same thing that
He had not seen it at all yet. Right now, he's just looking at the room in general.
Okay.
So if someone could draw his attention to it and have him watch it.
Hey, Dearmoon,
Yes.
what's that? And I'll point towards it.
Yeah, he points at an area that's about 4 foot by 6 foot, overall flat, but obviously has like a picture carved into it. As opposed to runes, it's a picture.
Does that look like you?
You step up and watch it.
Sure.
Okay, so you see the creature come out and wrap around. So when it replays,
So it is like animated.
Yep,
It's
animated.
not just like scenes and
No,
progression.
it's animated. It's
Okay.
like flowing. And so I'll describe it for all 3 of you. So all 3 of you see the creature come around the column. You see the hero apply magic and throw light or fire or something into the creature, which destroys it into pieces. You see the hero draw a long sword and strike it and destroy. And then you see the hero, as the creature coming around the column, the hero brandishes an instrument and plays music that disrupts the creature, and it seems to be holding the creature at bay. And then it
You weaponing.
Lame.
anyway, seems to be holding the creature at bay, and then in the last second, the creature rushes toward him, and then there is some kind of like an energy force that comes out from him, and the creature is destroyed. All 3 of you see the creature burst into small pieces and fly off into the frame, and then as the hero looks, each of you sees himself.
Does that look like you? Because I swear that looks like me.
It's not as good looking as me, but basically,
Stro, are you still about?
She is outside the curtain. She doesn't answer.
I saw some glowing
Okay.
writing over
Theon, roll system shot.
Something tells me a 34 is going to make that roll.
No problem. Okay. You are back to flesh and standing in a kind of big harem room with piles of pillows around, virtually unoccupied, but looking, you can see across the 40 feet away, you can see one exit that's actually down a little hallway, so I'm more like 50 feet away.
He looks up at his
And
savior.
there are 2 guards standing at it, and they have bronze stabs. They appear to be male medusae without the hair, basically tall, thin, gaunt. And then with you is Stro. Actually,
I will try
As
to
he comes out of
block
stone,
it from
Theon
being-
casts his eyes down.
okay. So make a saving throw versus petrification with a +8 bonus. If fail on a 1, probably pretty close to it.
Natural
His save is
Okay, no
like
problem.
7.
Okay.
He rolls a one.
So you do not turn back to stone, which is helpful. And Stro is there, and also Jake is there, and also Azuri. I want to say Edledge, but I know that wasn't right. So Azuri is there.
Alright, so we're gonna have to go kill that demigod dude.
A little more
Hold on a
context would be
second.
helpful.
Well, they're not in the same room as us.
Why do we need to
They're
do that?
outside the curtain. So Jake, Theon, Azuri, and Stro are outside the curtain.
Bigger damn problem.
Where's the rest
Who's
of the
all in
party?
room with me?
Where are we?
Xavier.
Oh, they're over here, let's go.
I wonder if this is.
We don't know anything about this. This could be enchanted to have anybody who gazes upon it.
As like a
those more powerful
confidence boost, if you will.
than we
I mean, it's not gonna give me more confidence. We'll fight a demigod.
So I've never known an instrument.
Well, let's go tell the others that
that I own.
Theon's back.
What are you talking about?
That does make me more
It
confident.
seemed I used some kind of instrument in this cartoon of us. It seems like I used some kind of instrument that propelled it.
I lead Theon
Now,
into
now,
the
this is
beyond the
roleplay.
curtain.
Okay. So Theon, Azuri, and Jake are now going behind the curtain. Is that correct? What do you say? I didn't catch it.
Brunson was laughing about him using an instrument to defeat the demigod of death, and Dearmid shot back, "You're a virgin."
Probably not true.
Before I lead him out, I do say, thank you, Stro.
Hard light, I guess.
You're welcome. Okay, so the four of them enter the room. So now everyone is in the little room with the giant bronze carved walls, or stamped walls, embossed is what they actually are. Okay, you see that they are basically, the three of them are huddled on the back in front of a 4 foot by 6 foot area that seems overall flat, whereas everything else has writings on it. Okay, roll a d20.
Did coming back from stone fix my leg?
What was wrong with the leg?
Gotta hit you.
I was permanently damaged while we were in the temple due to the.
Oh, ooze or whatever?
No, that evil god. When we were, I think we were
When
trying to stop them from multiplying the artifacts.
The darkness is crouching you now.
Okay, no, it did not.
Okay. 4.
Okay, you immediately recognize this as an ancient temple inner chamber and realize that it has to do with some powerful ritual, the likes of which you can only think of a few, one of which would be Ascension. Others would be like resurrecting a whole society or creating a pathway to immortality for a race.
Does it speak to any particular domain? You know, is it, so if this is a temple to a god, would the particular layout or process of this ritual call upon a certain type of god? Like,
Or even a pantheon?
Or a certain pantheon?
Not at first glance.
Okay.
The writing is ancient Geoffrian and arcane runes, basically.
And the ancient Geoffrian.
But you're really not, like, as you're looking at it, you're not really having any trouble deciphering them. Like, you take a little to do each one. Like, each one's taking you, like, 15 seconds or something. But you could easily read everything that's here. So it's closer, in your mind, it's closer to, like, a clerical scroll, basically. Which, then would make it virtually useless for Brunson, at least in your mind. Right. That's what you think. Okay?
What is Ascension? Xavier's asking about.
Where are they?
The process by which
You can see them.
Oh, they're in the same room we are?
Now they are.
Just the three of us are.
Four of you just went through the curtain.
Oh, I thought the mural was in a different
No,
room.
so it's just behind the curtain. The room is behind the curtain, and you just went through into the room.
So
where they're
one wall is the
picture.
No, you have to.
Not even the whole wall. It's a 4 foot by 6 foot section. The room is 20 by 30, and then on the back left wall, there's a 4 foot by 6 foot section. It's basically flat. And then when you look at it, you see an image.
Well, maybe Jake can do it.
Theon will approach the rest of the
You
room.
mentioned there was a glowing part of this place?
Alright, Theon's back.
Yes. So you did see some words glowing on the right hand side. Did you go and focus on them?
I will now after.
Roll read languages.
This could happen.
82.
It says in a fairly ancient tongue, Ascension. It means, non-specific, gathering of power to raise a mortal to immortality and harness the power of the elemental planes and certain other forces to make their life unstoppable.
Do I know how to would I know how to say it in that language?
So it's not really pronounceable because it's multiple different runes. Like there's at least 3 runes that you don't actually know the name of them, you just know what they mean.
So does that mean they could be our followers?
I mean, he has 3 languages, so.
Because that's a terrifying thought.
No, he doesn't know even as much as you do.
At this point,
Hey,
whatever
Theon?
hope they have in us is false.
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
having trouble translating this bit here that is glowing and
This room has some sort of.
seems like it requires our obvious
Yes,
attention.
everyone just came in. All 4 of them just came in.
Oh, hello.
Okay.
Yeah, like a minute ago.
Theon will
He said it'd be full fight.
You're gonna
look
like
at what Theon's looking at.
Theon's walking. Nice.
Jake said that.
Theon pointed me at something.
At the word?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I didn't hear the initial description.
So it's about an 8-character word. Each rune is actually probably multiple different words, and it basically, in general terms, means the harnessing of power from multiple elemental planes to take a mortal and turn them into an immortal, and thereby make them undefeatable or unstoppable by death.
And that's what that means.
Yep.
So is
It's
there
on the
something in
floor?
here that's
No, it's
gonna
on the
help
wall.
us
It's about
get
4
rid of
foot
this,
off the wall on the right hand side. It's not by itself, it's just a part of the whole thing.
Can I look for?
And it lights up though when you look at it.
Can I look for like
There
secret
might be a
passageways in that
typo.
area?
Brunson
Or,
is
like,
Say again?
apartments?
They're
For like
cool
secret
at
passageway
being
compartments in
here
that area.
to say
Sure.
we got it.
In that area specifically?
Yeah.
It takes about a minute to search a 10 foot by 10 foot
hard to
area.
tell,
So
I
you can
just
search
got a quick
from the
glance,
corner
but-
10 feet, up 10 feet, and
Kinda
about
looks
I'm
a
gonna
like
check,
Scroll.
yeah, that
Whole
general area.
room.
Okay, roll a d6.
That was a gigantic scroll.
Nothing. And it doesn't really look like
I
there
imagine
could
you
be
gotta write
because
a
there
lot
are no
down to
seams.
Get someone.
Then I'll
It's
check
bronze,
back.
all
Mortality.
bronze.
I'll look by where our pictures are too. but
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think that's the only way to defeat the god?
Give me a second while I let people catch up.
Theon will
I seriously doubt it's the only way.
inquire Phil.
I don't
Okay.
think
What
we have the
he
means
thinks is
currently.
Sir, come over here and look at this.
I mean, it's empathic more than language, but
Let's see what you
you
think.
feel confirmed that this room would allow a mortal to ascend to immortal status as long as that individual had a sufficient number of worshippers, which would then make it impossible for them to die.
How? Would they still have
How does it happen?
spend 1,000 years?
So Ascension, that's what Ascension does, and it allows that process. They do have to have followers, and then by part of the process, one of the material components of the spell is they have to pull away from mankind or from their followers and contact with other mortals for 1,000 years. And at the end of that 1,000 years, they would have demigod status.
Dude says, it just dawned upon me. We've got a lot of followers out there.
I just said that.
We've already covered
That's
this.
what they were just talking about.
Sorry, I was reading.
So what? I would have to read this. Is that what he's?
Activate.
It means
Activate
theoretically.
it. Not
Theon-
necessarily have to read it, but
Okay,
activate it.
Theon,
Assuming that's enough
in
followers.
somewhat of a
It's a level
fugue
8
state.
clerical spell, basically.
will step forward and place his hand on the glowing word.
Nothing happens.
What are you doing?
No touchy, dude.
Do you know what this is?
Yes. What are you doing?
If he wants to become a god, let him do it.
No.
He's already explained what this is.
Next thing, he'll be floating around here and we have to fight him too.
So why would he become an evil god?
I don't know. Why does he steal from people?
Hey!
What? Deny it. Try.
I don't have to. I don't owe you anything.
Exactly. Nobody is ascending to godhood status just yet, alright?
Why is this here?
Everybody calm
Is
down.
Stro still in the room?
Yes.
This could be a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Who created this?
Personally, not interested.
I don't know
Why
who
would
created
we
it
gatekeep
originally. It's been here
someone
for
who wants to do
thousands
it
of
from doing
years.
so?
Has it been used?
Probably. I think it's entirely possible that it was
Sorry, you
used
asked me a
to
question.
create the demigods of death that we are
This could be a
fearful
once in a
to
lifetime opportunity.
There's more than one?
have
Personally,
come and
I'm not
destroy us.
interested, But
More than one demigod?
why would
Yeah,
we
in
take
this area?
someone here?
No, I don't think so.
Take that risk.
Oh.
of doing so?
What is the method?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's just a room full of runes. Do you have to read them?
pretty
Do you have
reckless.
to
We
sacrifice?
just got followers.
Do you have
No. I mean,
It's
I
not
was
like we've
hoping
even
you'd be
trained
able
to
to figure
become
that
a-
out, but
I don't disagree.
essentially
but
it has to be activated. So it
if they know the
could
risk,
be like praying for a spell or memorizing a spell. I thought it looks like it's got a lot of magical writings in it.
I think there's only one person in this room that I would really trust to become a
Cartoon
god.
yet?
And no,
That's
it's
up to
not.
you. If you move in front of that section and look there, then yes, you would see it.
Perhaps we should
Jake,
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
try for spells in this room.
All right, so when Jake steps up in front of the flat portion of the wall, the images replay, and basically you see the curtain of death come around and the hero come up, and in each of your case you see your particular primary weapon. So Missouri sees bowfire, destroying death. You see fighting death with the rod and turning it back with channel divinity, essentially, and destroying it. And Deermood sees the lute playing, you see the sword, and you actually see the sword that you're currently carrying. So you see the white, it doesn't appear white obviously because it's embossed in brass. You see a ring, sort of like a dotted ring around the hero's weapon, and then you step forward and the ring surrounding you, and then there's a clash, and you eventually strike and destroy the creature. So every one of you sees yourself destroying death.
Well, that's a really cool puppet show. Why am I in the puppet show?
That's the thing, it shows you, but then it shows me to me, it shows Brunson to Brunson, and it shows
Everybody
Deermood
sees
to Deermood.
themselves.
Everyone
Stro
sees
says-
themselves.
You see yourself?
Yes.
Stro says,
Stro, do you see yourself in there?
as I was about to say, she says, I do not.
Who do you see?
Do you see anything?
I have seen each of you in turn.
So has anybody ever come into this?
I know I'm not the.
Has
Hold on,
anybody in
hold
this
on,
room
no.
ever come into this room and seen something like this play before? Has
I don't
there
know.
ever been anybody that has come in here?
No Medusa.
maybe that's a bad idea.
I know I'm not the
gonna-
At
brightest
least it's
person.
not in the recorded histories.
I know I'm not the smartest person here by any means, but if you see all of us and we only see ourselves, I wonder if all of us have to do something in order to defeat it.
I believe it's just one of you.
I think what it's saying is any one of us are capable.
Demon's gonna cast an hour rest.
Seems like,
Okay.
I mean, I'm no scholar such as yourself, but
Obviously.
it seems to me that it's saying one of us, I mean, my interpretation would be through Ascension, could face death, and any one of us could do so, presumably because we have the appropriate number of followers and could defeat it.
Stro says, moreover,
What was the last thing you
the
said?
best I understand it,
Defeat it.
this ritual, this spell, would make it so that death could not kill you, which is the point.
It's kind of starting to all feel more like a metaphor than an actual confrontation with a demigod, but
I think that we have fought for, and I've only been here for days, but I think that the Medusa have fought for centuries that the chamber was like that, a metaphor, as you say. But now that we know that the demigod of death is coming and will arrive at any time, the priestesses believe that this chamber shows the heroic arrival of someone who is able to dispatch the demigod of death. And now that you came, by whatever happenstance, you came into
Who has to perform?
the midst of the ceremony, the Medusae essentially believe that they have summoned you. One of you, I assume one of you, will rise to immortal status and destroy the demigod of death when he invades the temple.
How long are you asleep for an hour?
None. It's a druid spell. It's instantaneous.
Wait,
You feel an hour rested.
the
It's
demigod
4
of
hours.
death is loose
So you feel
now.
4 hours rested.
I can,
Yes, but
You
it's
can
not
make
for
it
the
work.
temple.
first level
I can
spell.
put that in
I
meditation.
understand, but
Just first, right?
Yep. No, first or second.
this ritual would remove us for 1,000 years. Do we expect him to stay in the dungeon level for 1,000 years in order for us to ascend?
Unless you would be able to confront the demigod of death first.
Stro says, it appears that that is the intention. You would first destroy the demigod of death and then ascend for 1,000 years and then return
Yes.
amongst
And
men.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't say you immediately ascend to.
Yeah, and actually,
Be separated by 1,000
Brunson,
years, right?
Deermood, and Theon would all know that in almost every Ascension story, there is a final heroic act.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe even a fire.
Wait, didn't Epimel ascend?
She did.
And she failed.
Maybe she's the one that put it there.
Or maybe this is her means of ascension herself, or the demigod.
Although there is something to be said about, was Epimel like teleported here, right?
She did.
And there's something to be said about.
Although, so point of clarification, because we don't have it to listen to, there was something odd about Epimel when she was in that fight, you'll recall. She was semi-translucent.
Well,
Same
Ogrim
with
was
Ogrim.
semi-translucent.
It was the same with Ogrim.
Epimel seemed to be there
It
in the
seemed
flesh.
as if they
Ogrim
were.
was there?
Yeah, he came in first, and then.
Yeah, he came in first and immediately left.
There was a spectral image of him.
Yeah, so, I mean,
She
my guess
there was
would
still
be
something odd about her that didn't seem.
But not that Harry would know that.
I think we
You
came
couldn't see through her or anything, but there was something odd about her. She may have been stretching to even be able to be there, or
So
something like that.
Theon is reaching to Hermes for guidance in this moment above what he can normally access.
Okay.
But I seriously doubt he's going to get any back during where we are.
Well, as I said before, you can always ask for divine intervention. The chance is 3%.
Oh, great, Hermes, should I become a god? No!
Okay, so just there's a couple of things, just game mechanic clarification, so everyone's aware. Okay, if you look at the Deities and Demigods book, you'll find that most of the demigods are between 8th and 12th level.
Really?
Just a point of clarification.
I'm eight to
Wow.
12 level.
I'm almost safe. I'm technically
So-
ninth.
I am a.
We all are. Except maybe
So
you.
it is not.
I mean,
I wonder what that thing was
Unheard
trying
of.
to do with
well, I
me
guess I
then.
don't know about what my combined.
It's just your highest level plus.
You're dual, so you just add the two together.
Oh,
That's
you
your
add
level.
the two
I'm
together?
gonna ask
You're dual, 'cause you
Stro
went
that.
through the-
14th level, baby.
Hold on.
I'm gonna tell Stro what it said to me.
Is that the same for me?
What said to you?
The
No, you're
demigod.
multi.
It said something about it could have great use or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Certain you act as all classes.
Because I was fighting it.
hmm
So I was gonna
It
ask,
might
I'm
be
gonna ask Stro
now
what
that
is
you're
it-
guard.
what was it trying to do?
I would assume he's trying to recruit you.
If that were the case, that'd be 18.
Powerful agents certainly exist on both sides of every conflict.
It's gonna sound really, really stupid.
You're if you
Could-
could
Could I bargain with it if I chose to follow it? Could part of that be letting them go?
People don't bargain with their followers.
Even if you could, he would only go and do evil elsewhere.
I don't like say it.
If he agreed to spare the Liberty level, for example, then he would simply go and topside and destroy village after
Murder
village.
the rest of the fleet?
Would it buy time?
Time, sure.
I would say
Hours, days, maybe.
I would say
Ultimately, the
gods,
price paid would be much higher.
especially evil ones, don't tend to
I don't
have
know,
much
this is
respect
all
for
new
mortal
to me.
beings.
I don't meddle with this kind of stuff, and this is the reason why. I feel we're starting to meddle with things we should have never even begin to meddle with.
Sometimes we cannot control what comes upon us, especially if we are heroes.
I will do it.
Of course you would. I don't think anybody needs to ascend to God level. There's gotta be a different,
I believe it's the only means we have of defeating death. I don't believe it's necessary, but if we want to.
Here's the thing, if you're
That's
essentially
what I do.
useless for 1,000 years, then what's to say that thing's not gonna cause havoc over the next 1,000 years?
We defeat it first.
Destroy it, and
Yeah,
then it can
point.
hurt no one.
So the legends say that
So then if we destroy it, then why would anyone have to ascend to God level?
Because
Because
you
in
have
order
be
to
a
destroy
god
it,
to
you
destroy
must
it.
ascend to God level. There is
right,
a final
so you do the
heroic act.
ritual, you do a final heroic act, which is defeating the demigod, and then you're gone for death.
Part of the
Yes.
ascension is you become immortal.
Yeah,
Death
I've
can't
got
touch
that
you.
much.
Right, so
It loses its power to
you get
destroy.
the power, but then you do one more heroic act, and I would say theoretically that's meant to help generate and maintain followers.
I mean, I never.
If one of you destroys death in this temple, the medusa will never stop worshiping you.
Check out Things Were Different Back Then, the origin story of Lord Victor told from a certain point of view.
That's the other thing. You'll be a Medusa god. Imagine all the atrocities that will be carried out in your name. No offense. I mean, you don't do atrocities, but the other ones clearly do.
You give me too much credit.
So
But you could leave directions like no more human sacrifice.
Oh,
I was gonna ask for that.
Yeah, I would say if one of you guys want to do it, that'd be great.
She doesn't laugh, obviously.
Jake, you haven't put in your input yet.
Gee, I think
Do any of us want to be gone for 1,000 years after we kill this guy?
I honestly care less. I ain't got nothing to go
You'd
back
be
to.
fulfilling your oath.
Theon seemed pretty happy to do it.
I could use a break.
It will be essentially the same as death. All of your loved ones, with the possible exception of elves, I suppose, because they do live a long time, will be dead by the time you return. All the rest of you will be long dead.
Yeah, you may
by
have
the
a
time
couple of
he
nieces
would
and
return.
nephews on their deathbed that you may get to visit still.
And as far
I
as
have a sister who will live.
All of his siblings will live 1,000 years unless they encounter.
If one of the other of our group does it, then you might actually get to talk to Theon later
That's right.
when you come
So
back.
we come back
As
1,000
far
years.
as I'm
Theon will be the
aware,
only one
I
in this
have no
room probably
family,
likely to be
so-
alive in 1,000 years.
I will be close to death should I live another 1,000 years.
I have literally nothing to go back home to.
Imagine the places I could see.
I don't want to be gone for 1,000 years, but I am willing to fulfill my oath, even if it means being worshipped by
Naked Medusa women.
Medusa. But I will leave directions for them.
Yeah.
If it comes.
Point 1, no more human sacrifice.
Alright.
Point 2, at
Flip a
least
coin.
wear bikini. Point 3.
Can you put something in there about like a mask? You know, like
Hey,
a hair bonnet, maybe?
Alright, flip a coin, somebody do it.
This is the problem. Do what?
I read the thing. Let's go. I don't know.
I can read it. What will that grant me? I'll sit here for the next
I don't know. they're
year and a
talents.
half reading runes.
Okay, so I will clarify at this point in time, just so you're aware, as everyone is standing in the room and you're looking around, all of you feel confident that with 4-ish hours of reading, you could read it. It's not.
4 hours?
I think I can pick out that one there.
Come on.
I'm gonna just come out and say it. The only person in this room that I would trust reading this is Jake.
I think Claire too.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you.
So
I won't say trust, that I would feel comfortable ascending to be a god, even if it's a Medusa god.
And so if Theon were insistent that you wanted to do so, what would you do?
I trust that you would not be corrupted by any kind of outwardly forces.
They say power corrupts. Throw heads.
Absolutely.
There are
I don't know
At
what
least.
that means, but
I care little for your vote of confidence.
all I know is this guy needs to go away.
Yeah, I mean, Theon's been pretty, he has never changed because of your opinion, so maybe you won't be corrupted either.
I have not changed in a long, long time, other than, the atrocities I have witnessed.
You do seem extra eager to ascend, though.
Who would
Perhaps
not
too
be?
eager.
The fact that you all find it
I don't care.
as
if I do.
death is strange to me. I will live another 1,000 years, whether I do it in exile or not. I can put my life on pause for 1,000 years and come back and do good and travel and see the world. Not just the world,
Well, you
the
can
universe.
do that while you're alive.
Get me off planet.
There's definitely ways to do so.
I cannot now. I could then.
Okay.
And I would not have to worry about coming back either.
I don't think this is much about a vacation or retirement as much as it is correcting a very bad situation. And
Why not both? I
How
defeat
long
the
would-
demigod of death.
How long would it take to go back to that room? We're not where the demigod was. We weren't very far from it, right?
So it's above you. You came down the slide. So unless you had another means, you have to go back up the slide. That would probably be about a half an hour climb at least.
If this is what you want to do, I wouldn't stop. But would this anger Hermes, and would he still give you what you need?
To Hermes, I'd be a peon. He's a major god. I would be a demigod of a minor piece of one of his domains. If anything, I would lighten his load by granting second-level spells to his clerics.
I think you treat Ascension like
I am old, not for an elf, but for you. I've had a long, weary spirit. It would be nice to not have to worry so much anymore.
Bro, we have to kill this
I'm
thing
sick of
first,
worrying about dying every
First before what?
time I
have to
step
make up
foot
our
on the
mind
right?
here.
road.
We're doing anything.
I'd like to
We
just
have to
take
kill
the road.
demigod right now, right?
We have to make up our mind here first.
I've
That
said
is
my
what
piece.
the priestesses would want you to do. That's what they are expecting.
I wish there was another way.
I understand your motivation.
There is another way, but it will cost you how many ever lives? Can you defeat the creature without someone ascending? Without someone moving beyond the influence of death?
Well, let's go find out.
Well, killing death seems a little impossible outside of
Listen,
context.
I've accepted that I'm going to die. I don't want it to be today. If Theon or Jake are happy to ascend and defeat this creature without me running headlong into death as literally as possible, I'm all on board. The world can deal with the repercussions in 1,000 years. If he's corrupted, can he be worse than literal death?
I will not be corrupted.
It's hypothetical.
I've heard
Wonder
stories
if
of people
Death said
far
that
more
one time.
powerful than you being corrupted.
That's it.
Power is the absolute
It's all
worst
Death
Usually
on the
the
nonsense.
same
people
level.
who
And it's 1,000 years from
are
now,
least
and we
likely
just
to
keep
believe that
repeating
they are
the
to be corrupted are the ones that are more likely to be careful with your hubris.
It's not hubris, it is confident, and your logic is backwards.
Hubris is a Greek concept, so if anyone is aware of what hubris is, it would be Theon. So, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't fall prey to it. The gods themselves do. So, although it is mainly attributed to men. Not,
Pretty sure we're all Greek.
I don't think druids are Greek.
no, that's a problem.
We're all
He's Jewish.
natural.
He's Jewish.
I mean,
They may not look Jewish, but they are.
Well, he was brought up Greek.
Well, yeah, and then he became Jewish. So what does that tell you? He's got a great opinion of the Jewish or of the Greek. He's a
Greek
Greek defector.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I think your eagerness hurts your candidacy. I'm not saying this in any malicious way. Just saying
Process.
that I still think Jade is the only candidate that I vote for this to happen, if we were voting. But we're not.
So Stroh says, I'm going to go and check on developments in the temple, and I'll be back. I guarantee I'll be back within the next 10 minutes. Even if you decide, don't begin anything until I return, so you can at least know what the state of affairs are outside.
Where can we send somebody if you don't?
If I don't come back, either enact your plan or flee.
I'll go with you.
I don't think it's safe.
You could be turned to stone in an instant.
The temple is going to be extremely active. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Stroh knows what she's doing.
So she slips out the curtain. Notices she's still barefoot.
I'll walk out of the room. I'm not gonna follow her out the door, but I'll walk
I mean,
out.
you can go as far as the double doors.
Yeah.
The temple's only like 40 feet beyond that, so you probably wouldn't hear her if she cried out for help. But if she came rushing back in, for example, you'd be ready to do something.
I personally would not want to go through with it. I couldn't bear doing that to my parents.
It does. You do consider that it is entirely possible, however, that your grandfather might have
What?
ascended.
Yeah.
Nobody knows for sure what happened to him.
The least he could have did was defeat death before he did.
Most of the
Maybe
relatives
he's the
I
one who
care
sealed
about will be alive when I return.
Someone must have tracked death down there. This, mind you, to point of clarification, okay?
the decayer is the person that you're talking about. Okay, so we're having reference to him as death, and somebody did call him death incarnate, like he's death incarnate, whatever. But his actual name means the decayer or doom, not death. So there's a little difference there, but just a point of contention if anybody wanted to make that point of
Yeah,
contention.
he's a slight step below death.
Yeah, he's not quite death, or
Not Thanatos himself.
no, apparently not. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so she does leave. Anyone doing anything within 10 minutes? Are you meditating? You don't have to meditate immediately. You just have to meditate before you physically exert yourself if you want to use the benefit of that.
Yeah, I'd probably decide to say.
Okay. Then you might get some feeling for.
Anybody else? I mean, we're looking at bottom of the barrel, off the wall ideas here. Does anybody else have any way they can think of to deal with the situation?
The only way I can think of is trying to go toe to toe with him with this.
I mean, you did seem like
No,
he was
so
being injured
re-roll
when you were
once,
fighting him.
and then drop the
Put
low.
a lot of hurt on you.
What's that?
He was asking me what the character generation low moon method was. 46, reroll once, and drop the low.
He's already rolling up his behavior.
So if you're looking
Wait a
for
minute, where's
last
Azuri?
ditch efforts, I
Sorry?
do have some powerful friends, as do you.
Oh,
We go seeking help.
I pull off my glove.
There are forces of good in the world that would love to see this thing vanquished and are more in the position to do so. That being said, I'm sure all of them are dealing with their own things right about now.
I could try talking to Mr. Dean.
just out of interest, who's the powerful ally you're simulating for me? I forget.
I have, for you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been in the capital, or those adventurers we met during the whole placing the cap. They seem potent. The king.
Also seem very busy all the time.
As are most powerful people. As I said,
They seemed about on our own. I don't smile.
if you say so.
That Victor fellow, pretty fine night.
I could also, there may be people back home who would be willing to help. I'm not sure if any of them are up to the challenge any more than we are.
The only risk we run is
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have. Oh, I'm sorry.
the only risk we run is one of them going through this process instead of one of us. Do we really do it?
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to go with this alone because we can't contact outside help right now. We're stuck under this cursed mountain.
I could plead for divine intervention. They're always listening.
We'll be honest.
Perhaps you'd like to write for Low Moon Adventures. The Prince Albert series on Kindle is a short story series where you can write your own based on our prompts and donate them or donate half their profit to the ministry.
That's sort of making my own divine intervention, I think.
You're intervening on the divine.
Perhaps some deity caught this notice and is just waiting for the fleet.
How long?
So it creeps into the back of your mind that you know who could ascend and make a great god for the Medusa. Ogre. Boy, he'd make a good demigod.
I thought you were going to say Bazor.
Arch.
Let's get Bazor down here.
Arch.
I was gonna say that earlier. That I'm really
Giant.
glad Bazor's not here right now.
You'd probably already be reading this bell.
You know how many
Yeah, it'd be like Ascension. He'd be like, I will do it.
No, because we're just gonna have to go through this again.
You know how many?
No need to fear, citizen.
Bazor would
Bazor
definitely
ascended-
be chaos, not death.
You know how many axe wielding psychotic illusionists
Illusion Medusa.
that worshipped him would be running around?
I deny your reality.
Weapon of choice,
Substitute my
axe.
own.
Clerics with the weapon of choice, woodsman death.
Okay. All right. Well, at that point, Stro returns. It's been maybe 6 or 7 minutes instead of 10.
Oh, that urgent.
Xavier returned back into the curtain room a little before she does, so it seemed like he preceded her returning. And then she says, "Much has happened in the short time that we have been in this room. The word of your arrival has spread throughout the city, and you have gained even more renown amongst the citizens. However, the cult who favors the decayer has begun to attack those who are of the priesthood."
It's the same cult as Space Throw.
What?
They're harvesting votes.
Literally.
Okay. Which means that time is of the essence.
Well, how are we coming to this decision then?
let's cast roach. Somebody just go for it. I'm willing to do it, except if the gold is found. But if Leon wants it more,
Well, the thing is you have family too.
We all have that.
My world will not change.
You have no one.
My
to
father
care
will
about
die.
Your opinion of us seems very small.
Maybe.
That's it.
He might live another 1,000 years.
Do you have any thoughts here?
Technically, he could.
I will save all of your lives in doing this. That is good enough for me. You are men. I appreciate men, their ilk, and their plucky spirit. I've had a great few years traveling with men. And there will be men when I return. Some like you. Very few, I imagine.
None.
None in Dirmut's case. I'll grant you that.
I don't know. He's been trying to make sure there are some. Town to town.
Perhaps I will meet some of your ancestors.
Similar, but none.
Descendants.
I'm like a semi-trucker.
I should have stayed focused there. That's my bad.
I do appreciate all of you. But understand this, Dirmut. Your lifespan is already not much to me.
So, to further you from further insulting our mortality,
It's not an insult. It is an observation.
sure.
That you take it as an insult speaks to your mortality.
Well, you do keep bringing it up, so
It is the fact of the matter.
I don't understand half the words you say.
That's the person to elevate to demigodhood.
I am very far from immortal. I am very far from you.
I disagree.
I've heard too many stories of those eager to seek
Your
out power and
arrogance
finding it to do terrible
drips
things.
off of you.
Your eagerness to seek out this power is what's concerning me.
I understand.
You're telling me.
Without
Perhaps that's
any
how you were
reservation
raised.
or any second thought.
So, Dirmut, you're telling me if you didn't have bonds that you were worried about losing, or things that you wanted to do in the next 100 years that you wouldn't get to do, you would not be eager or excited to do this.
No.
I would. I certainly would.
I can't possibly explain this to you in a way that you would understand.
I think you could. He's pretty smart.
Perhaps if you ascended and lived 567 years, you would maybe begin to understand.
She says he does have a point. He has lived already long enough to add up all of your lives twice. So if any of us can understand what it means to be alive for thousands of years, it is him. I don't think he's being flippant about the choice. I simply mean I think he is saying that he would most readily adapt. That being said, no one of you is any better equipped to complete this task than the other, even though you may feel you have things that you must do. Because if it were so, then you would not be able to read the chamber and ascend.
I agree wholeheartedly. Don't take me to mean that I don't think that any of you are capable of doing this.
Also know that even if you were to do this, I will still go with Babylon.
I understand. You
Sure,
swore an
this
oath.
vote, guys.
I will protect your life, should I continue. Also, I would hope that you find my sister again. She could use the companionship. And I hope that one day you can teach her how I feel about men. She's a bit cynical. If anyone could do it, it's you. Time is of the essence. I think I've made my point clear.
So all you have to do is read this.
It's gonna take hours.
She shrugs like she doesn't really
It's
know.
like a book of instructions.
It does appear, as you're standing in the room, as I mentioned before, that all of you feel confident that you could read it. Even though on the surface it looks like it's far above your ability. When you look at it, the words sort of metamorphose into something that you can understand. They're more concepts than words.
Do I think that casting an augury to ask whether or not reading it would activate it is a dangerous thing to do?
Whether or not reading would activate it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Casting an augury whether or not you should attempt to ascend might be kind of dangerous.
So Theon will cast an augury.
Okay.
And he will ask
He's casting.
if reading this incantation will activate its effects.
No.
Apparently not. There must be something else.
Oh yeah, that would be too easy.
Sure, it's more of an instruction manual than that.
So,
4 hours. It's a lot of work.
I think that your augury may have been missing some components. Reading,
Did he say what his augury was, or just?
he has to ask it out loud, right?
Usually.
Oh,
I mean,
unless you were intentionally covering it.
No, not particularly.
Like he could go,
I think there's an important factor that
try to be really soft.
one who has a sufficient number of
Hold the mic right up to his
followers
mouth.
I'm gonna look
and
at it and try to read some of it.
can readily commit
It takes
a heroic
concentration, but you
deed
can.
prior to ascension reading
Sound it
incantation
out.
with that
Sound
activate.
it out.
Well, too late now. I think perhaps if we begin reading it, we will become more informed.
Maybe so.
You
I
see
should-
Xavier standing there and he's reading the words on the wall and he's kind of muttering and you can hear he's muttering the basic concepts of what's there. So he's sort of reading it.
Xavier,
Busy.
maybe not the best idea.
As you just read the part in it where Gus make this my motto of living from this day forth for all eternity. I'm busy. Oh, crap. No, not actually.
I should add that, Ascension's kind of in my family history.
You said reading it wasn't
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Like testicular cancer.
It's part of our medical history. I
You
forgot all
said
my
reading
medical
it wasn't
points.
gonna
Reading
have
the
any
side effects may
to do
include
with it,
Ascension.
So what's the harm in reading it?
Right.
And then I'll
Being gone for
continue
1,000
reading it.
years.
Well, I think my point was I think he's wrong. I think he asked the wrong question.
I'm still gonna continue.
Stay tuned for more Lomunian adventures.